Right? She does it good, so she has a ride home, so that's always good. You guys are the best looking bunch we've talked to all morning, so if you want to look to your, maybe the person to your right there and say, hey, you are one good looking person. You are one good looking person. Maybe you look the other way and say, well, you may not be as good looking, but we are super excited that everybody is here today, and the three common things again that we want to kind of overrun everything is ownership, leadership, and connection. And I'm really going to be focusing on some ownership side of things. So it's just a great common theme, as you know, we know what ownership is for us in New Spring. And more specifically, Paul's going to go through the, some of the core values. And the one that we're looking at right now is save people, serve people. And so we're really going to kind of drill down on what that looks like as far as next steps go, and how we can kind of unpack that a little bit. But what I wanted to do to kind of, make a little segue, shall we say, is I have personally been in, I like stories. Haven't figured that out yet. Wow. I have been in personally 14 weddings. Now, out of 14 weddings, 12 of them I would not like to relive ever again. They were horrible, boring, just kind of dead experiences, and I'm like, oh, for the love, I'd rather be home, getting a root canal, anything else. Can anybody else share? Have you been to them? You're like, oh, for the love, And I totally understand that it is really for the bride and the groom. I understand that. But you're asking people that supposedly you love to come and suffer during this thing, right? And I thought, this just sucks. And so it was just really bad experiences. And so I didn't get married till I was like way late in life, and I didn't want that to happen. No. So so here's what happened. There's two that I had a great time and loved them, and there's a couple of things that we wanted to tell you about. I could spend some time on the worst ones, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about the best ones. Specifically, the best wedding and reception I ever went to was back in 2006. The wedding, it was kind of weird, the wedding took place at 1:30 in the afternoon, okay? Now, the worship was great, the message was great. It was like, hey, this doesn't make me want to go, for the rapture right now, so I'm okay with holding off. But the reception was at 7 o'clock at night. So there was like a giant gap in between the wedding and the reception. Now, everyone had to go home, and they had to get dressed up into a fashion victim's costume for the reception. It was wild, all right? So here's a couple of pictures from that wedding. There's Josephine over right there, and I mean, it was a wild reception. It was a ton of fun, and literally the best one that I had ever been to. Now, one of the reasons that it was one of the best ones that I ever went to is because it was mine. So, that helped too. Now, again, because I had been in so many, my family was coming from Michigan to Florida. Christy's family was coming from Virginia, Kentucky. There was going to be a huge expense for someone to come down and attend this event, and the last thing I wanted them to do is to think back, man, I really wish I was home doing yard work right now. It would have been a better investment of my time, right? So when we planned our wedding reception, we had the guest in mind, shall we say. Now, there were some things that, of course, we had to do because, it was us. But at the end of the day, we took several steps to make sure that our guests were well received. The first one was, when we planned this event, we planned it on a holiday weekend because we knew people would want to come to Asheville and spend some more time and have some fun, and why not plan it at the same time as a holiday weekend. Now, it was more expensive for us to get that venue because it was a holiday weekend, but most of the time, family and friends get together for weddings and funerals. So we were like, well, why don't we get together and let them have some more fun outside of our wedding and be able to go and kind of share that experience together outside of us. We know it's about us, but enough about us, Let's go out and do some other things. The second thing that we did is, because there was a giant gap between between the time. Generally, what happens after the wedding? Where does everybody go after the wedding? You go to the bar. But it's usually not quite open. You can't eat any food yet because the bride and groom of the wedding party are all taking pictures. And so you're sitting there watching that shrimp who looked so prim and proper when you got there, and then he's kind of getting limp into the second hour, and you're like, for the love, I'm starving, and your stomach's like growling, and you're just going, this sucks. I'm hungry, and yet everybody's taking pictures, and you're going, for the love. So what we did is we had the reception afterwards, so everybody could go home, eat whatever you wanted, whether you liked what I was serving or not. You could go out, eat what you wanted, and then come back dressed for the night's activities, shall we say. So we wanted to make sure that our family and friends that were going to make a significant investment to come make a celebration with us, we wanted to be able to honor them in a fun and an exciting way and let them be able to partake in that and not hate us afterwards. So now I jumped over a whole bunch of my notes. Let me catch back up. When you take ownership of our events, it's important to keep an eye out for the guest experience. So a lot of things that we were doing in planning this event, we wanted to be able to keep an eye out for that guest experience and what can we do for them, okay? So a lot of things for us as far as the guest experience, whether we're on the guest, and you heard a little bit, whether you're on the guest services side or the host side, we're all one team. So there's a couple of things that we have to do to kind of keep our eye open for the guest experience and why it's so crucial. Every event that we do is a first-time event for our guest. Every event. Now, it might be our 100th event for us to attend, but for someone coming to an ownership class, they've never heard it, they've never seen it. Matter of fact, I kind of have a philosophy, if it's funny once, funny 50 or 60 more times. So if you hear a joke and you're like, ah, that's awesome! You might have heard it 100 times, but to them, they've never heard it before. So seeing that through the guest eyes, oh man, here's the next one coming up. You don't want to ruin it for people like that, okay? So always see it as if it's your first time. You only go through these classes once, and you don't want to lose the wow factor. The wow factor, I think, is amazing at New Spring. My brother used to be on staff in a church down in Florida, and they came up to an event, the Unleash event that they do in the Anderson campus, and he's sending me tweets and texts throughout the day going, how in the world do you get all these people here? They're so nice, they're so friendly, as if we're like weird people. Like they're not out there. But it's the culture that we have in being able to see the wow factor going, this is just amazing. It's not just a big building, it's big people. And that's the wow factor. Now, how many people have been to Dollywood? How many people have been to Disney World? Okay? I've been to both. They're both theme parks, but they are vastly different wow factors. An entirely different wow factor, okay? I took my daughter last summer to Disney World, and whether we were getting extra ketchups at the counter for lunch, or if she was actually standing in line to go see a princess, everyone on staff there called her a little princess. And at the end of the day, she felt like a little princess. Everybody was. And there's a reason that the ticket for Dollywood is not as expensive as a ticket for Disney World, because we don't feel like a little princess when we go to Dollywood. I feel like when you go home to the shower, all right? But, there are two vast differences, and the wow factor is just missed there. Not near as that. So, just kind of, it's the small things, but they make an incredibly big difference. This is how we want our guests to feel when they come here. Not, gosh, I'm a little princess, but they feel I'm special and I'm loved. I can't go anywhere else and feel that like I feel it at New Spring. This is amazing. I'm coming back. I don't even know if I believe what they believe, but holy smokes, I feel good when I come here. I'm coming back, okay? That's what we want to do. Now, there's a common thought in the church, especially in Southern church, in the South, is that because our product is so good, Jesus is so great, that we don't need the wow factor, because he's just that good. And I'm sure you've probably heard it or seen on Facebook that, oh, when Jesus isn't enough, they're giving away a Harley Davidson. You see that outside of the church, okay? Now, My philosophy is because our product is that good, is why we have to be even better. Our product is it is that good, we have to bring our A game because of that. He is that good. So we have to make sure of that. Now, let me give you an example of when I was on staff at another church where we kind of missed this whole product thing. We had a big message that we were planning, and a part of the message, we wanted the congregation to be able to participate, kind of a symbolism participation thing. So we were going to build these giant sandboxes, and we were going to put those, you know those little silver candles, like those little tin candles? And we were going to put all these candles inside the box. And what would happen is, as a part of the message to respond to it, you'd come up, you'd get a candle, or you'd get one of these long matches, and you would go up and you would light from this main candle, and then you would come over and light one of these small candles, which was your way to kind of, be able to respond to the message. So we talked this through. It was sounding great, good, awesome. And I'm like, I'm really going to be surprised to see this pulled off. And these guys are really going to do it. I'm excited. Game day. I show up. Now, I was part of the planning side of things. I wasn't part of the execution. So this is what I show up to. I go up to the stage to light my candle, and there is a dinner plate from the kitchen, because it was a church that just had a little kitchen they went in, with those little candles on there, and they didn't have the match, so they just did the little blowtorch ones. You're trying to light that big up, and you light it up, and that's what it was. Just a plate with some old dump on it. And I looked at that and I said, what happened 2 months ago? We talked about this just cool experience to now this little plate. The only thing that came out of that was someone remembered to buy those little candles. It was so poor. To say I was irate was like an understatement, because it literally was like, man, let's just take this, dump it on here, and what can we put on? Oh, let's just wait and plate in the kitchen so it doesn't leak onto the stage. And I was so mad because I'm going, is there anything less that we could have done for this experience? We have such a great product, but our presentation sucked. I mean, it was terrible. And I blew up the next day in staff. I was just like, that was the craziest thing. Why'd you even bother? Why'd you even waste it? Because now people are like, well, that was like rinky dink. It was like 20 minutes to do the whole thing total. It was terrible. So we want to make sure that because our package is so important to us, we want to make sure that the marketing is the best, that our presentation is the best, that our game is the best that we can possibly bring when it comes to this. Okay? Now, oh, my ears are getting red. I'm getting mad already thinking about it. Now, since I opened up with an example from a wedding, I want to go ahead and use a biblical example. And we're going to jump to John 2, 1 through 10, where Jesus changes water into wine. It says, on the third day, a wedding took place in Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. And this is Jesus' response. Woman, I've never tried that. I've never been pretty with He got away with it. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for the ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water, so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants had drawn the water new. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, and as Perry says, get this. Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had a little too much to drink. But you have saved the best until now. Now, I think that really says more about who Jesus is than it does about his wine. He is, I am the best. This is it. Everything else is second to this. Okay? So, we should strive to be our best and to do our best because who our product is. Not because of the wine, but because who the wine represents. That's what we want to make sure that we're bringing our best for. Okay? It isn't an excuse, but a reason we need to bring our A game. Our marketing needs to be better, our serving needs to be better, the way we love our guests needs to be better because Jesus is better. Take ownership and do everything with excellence. One of the things when I had first started at the church, I called Kat up and I said, hey, I know they're doing a leash thing. I'd like to come and serve for the day. You know, what can I do? And she's like, show up and we'll kind of tell you what to do. I said, okay, cool. So I showed up and, or even before I showed up, she said, because I was still in, Asheville at that time, and I was on the phone with her, and she said, here's what we want you to do. If you see a guest that needs something, handle it. If you see a piece of trash on the ground, pick it up. Treat it as if it is your house. Now, I've heard that said in other churches, because I come from a traditional church. I've heard that said 100,000 times. But as soon as I've done something, they wanted to just about fire me. Are you kidding me? You painted what? So it's so important that the concept ownership of New Spring is they mean it. They mean what they said, and they got your back. If you do something and you're like, ooh, that wasn't the best idea, they got your back. But sometimes, we do things out of mere accident, like, hey, I just think this might work, and all of a sudden something new has started because a volunteer had just decided, hey, I'm going to try this, and it set the standard. And we're like, man, we can really raise the bar doing this. So that's where we really want to empower and encourage everybody as owners to just own it, own that event. Take charge of it and own it with excellence. Jesus turned the water into wine isn't a normal thing, and of course what Jesus is doing through New Spring isn't normal either. Don't lose that. We want to show people that we went over and above and beyond to make things exceptional for their experience. And I don't know if you remember this, a few years back at the TD Convention Center, we sang that Mariah Carey Some Sun Christmas song with snow. And all of a sudden it started snowing in the convention center, and I was like, you are kidding me. There was snow in the building. And then you start, putting that out on Twitter. Snow in your building, man, get that hole fixed. I mean, it was just like, they went over and beyond, and everybody was just blown away. Something is, was it small? I don't know what it took to make it snow inside. I'd never been in a building it snowed inside. But that impressed me, and I'm still talking about it today. So that's the kind of thing that we want to be able to, just set that bar high. We want every event to be better and look effortless. And don't forget, like Matt said, we want to be joyful, have fun with it. Those are the kind of things that people remember how much fun they had. That wedding right there, you could have walked by it. Matter of fact, the beer garden, if you've ever been in Asheville, everybody knows the beer garden next door. They hear the music pounding out of there, and they just see these most wild costumes, coming in and out. And Joe, who said, my name is Josephine, dressed in the dress. And now it's Asheville, But people were like, are you kidding me? And so we had several, all night long, people were trying to come crash the wedding. And they were like, what is this? We're like, it's the wedding year now. It was pretty obvious to catch who it was, but it was a blast. We want to make sure that we're bringing joy. Jesus brought joy to the wedding while he was serving others, and we want to do that for his people. Now here are a few examples of how we can take ownership with serving with excellence. So I've kind of jotted down a few, and I'm sure that you come up with some additional ones. First one is we want to make sure that we arrive on time. It's difficult to serve people who are our guests if we actually arrive after them. So for us to be able to be out there in the parking lot, to be holding doors and things like that, being like, hey, here we are. We have to be there before they are. Number two, don't huddle up. Huddling is really insider focused. And so what happens is that you guys got this, we're hanging out with just some great people in here. So we come to service, we're like, hey, how are you? What happened this week? And so all of a sudden we kind of huddle up a little bit and we forget the guests, and they just kind of are wiggling behind us and we don't even recognize them because we're talking on the inside kind of catching up. So we want to be kind of a huddle breaker. So if anybody walks up to your huddle and goes, break, that's kind of our sign. Hey, keep looking for, our outsiders, our guests. Call people by their name, introduce people using their names. You probably have seen that probably for the last several meetings that we're really trying to say, hey, Paul, this is John. John, this is Paul. And try to do a handoff so that at the end of the day, if a guest comes and they have come to a particular maybe ownership event, they've literally been introduced to probably 6+ people before they've ever left. So they're like, man, it's a big church, but I know 6 people already, and I just went to one event. I'm going to go back to another one. So we want to keep that in mind. Don't tell people where Kids Spring is, show them. Think about this. You got someone who's coming with their kid. They've heard we're a cult, we're weird, what's going on? And now you want me to drop my kid on the other side where I don't even see a Kids Spring? That's freaky. I don't think I like that. You're going to get pushback. So just say, hey, let me show you. Take ownership and just grab them and bring them over with you. Number 5, be proactive. Look for the deer in the headlight. Look. I love, one of the greatest things about doing baptism is when you stand up front, ready for baptism before they start, and you see all these guests that have never been to the church, who just come to support someone who's getting baptized, and all of a sudden, and they're like, what in the world have I come to? I mean, they are just baffled, and it's entertainment every single time. I love that. And they're like, oh, look at the old one right here, look at this. Pacemakers sticking up. I mean, I just love it. So look for that deer in the headlight, and always when they're coming up the escalator, they get to the top, and like, it's like someone's pushing them. They're like, where do we go? What do we do? They've never, always remember, they've never been here before. They have no idea, and they heard who knows what out there, So we got to kind of correct that, love on them until they love us back. So. Now, if you've ever flown on an airline, I was kind of using this as an example. If you've ever flown on an airline, they always say, you are on flight 227 going to Daytona Beach, Florida. The reason they do that is people will get on a plane going to the wrong destination. So, just because someone has come up the escalator, they might be looking for the gun show, not baptism. So we always have to say, hey, where are you going? What are you looking for? Because they don't know where they're at. And it is entertaining if you ever get on a plane and someone sits next to you like, dude, I'm going to Albuquerque. I'm on the wrong plane, and then they're leaving. But that's why they say it, because that happens. So we want to make sure that we never assume. Number 6, own your role as you are given. And I put, don't be a doorstop. Again, when you have bad examples and you never want to see that again, it's kind of easy. My last church, we used to have people with, hey, you're a greeter at the door. And what that entailed for some people was, I would prop the door open, I would put my foot here, and as the door is now open, I could sit here and talk to my friend over here, and they just became a doorstop. And I thought, how poor is that? If someone, I've had friends that came to my church, walked in, sat down, listened to the message, walked out, and nobody ever talked to them. Now they passed a bunch of people, but you're like, you mean the greeters that came to the door? No, they were talking to their friend, they were a doorstop. So we want to make sure that we're going over and beyond and not getting caught, something like that. So own that role. Serve like it's your last time, not your 100th time. I thought, oh man, how many times do I get into a situation I think, here we go again. If I just get through this one, I got to pick up Piper and we'll get out of here. And I totally miss the joy and the celebration that's happening right there in front of me. That, some people go to a church and the only baptism they have is a child that didn't ask for it. And yet we get to see it all the time. So just remember that it's not serve like it's your last time, not your 100th time. So again, just to recap, save people, serve people. We have an amazing product. Jesus deserves our absolute very best. And the coolest thing about what we do in Next Steps is we get to see saved people. We are saved people serving people, so that those then serve people will turn around and save people, and that process will go over, and then they'll serve those next people. And so it's amazing to see someone go through ownership, then they're signed up for baptism, then they're in their budget, and then they're serving my child in Kids Spring or somewhere else. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. So that's what we want to do. Thank you for investing your time today and in next steps. We've got a lot of great things planned for 2014. We're looking forward to even more that we're going to do. We are, can I turn it back over to you?
Sure.
Is that good? I will turn it back over to the world famous Christy.
Way to go, John.
No, I thought.
So that was ownership. So again, ownership